I'm Kyle Freeburn, the MBA Marketing Association President. We are here with MBA Insider Conversations, Practical Knowledge Passed Along. This podcast series features students in the class here at BYU, the MBA program, who are best in class, talking on a variety of topics that can help students prepare and ultimately nail their dream job and be successful in their post-MBA endeavors. Welcome to MBA Insider Conversations, Practical Knowledge Passed Along. Today we're here with Nathan Rigby, Associate Brand Manager at Walmart and class of 2008.
That's right.
BYU MBA. It's great to have you here, Nathan.
Thanks for having me.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us, as interview season is really ramping up, a big part of the marketing interview is the case interview, or the case questions. Why don't you go ahead and just walk us through your thoughts on what really makes a successful answer to a case question?
Yeah, so a case question is going to be typical, asking for strategic thinking. And the point of it all is to be able to see how you can take ambiguity and any element of kind of very far-fetched from what you're typical to being experienced to, and seeing how you can process information.
Okay.
So my recommendations on a case question are, when it's been asked, first of all, don't make any assumptions.
Okay.
Assumptions, even, for example, in Walmart private brands, we might ask a case question on, hey, so Pringles is gaining share, and Walmart chips is losing share. What are you going to do? And then a typical answer is, well, we've got to gain the share back. Well, if you take a step back and say, okay, what's the strategic thinking? You want to be able to say, okay, well, what does Walmart want to achieve? Instead of saying, hey, we have to grow sales, take a step back and say, what's the business objective? That's number one in any case question. Are you trying to grow share? Maybe Pringles actually has higher margin and higher profit and sales impact than the private brands do. So you actually want to grow shares of Pringles rather than your internal brand. Maybe that's not the case, but first of all, don't make any assumptions.
Right. And
number two is make sure that you establish a business objective. A business objective obviously has to be related to sales, to margin, to stealing share from competitive set. Any of those classic HBS cases you begin with, it needs to be there. Number two is, in a marketing scenario, is to then be able to use marketing models or any marketing frameworks that would help you then show how you would achieve that business case. And being able to develop those two thought processes primary to being able to answer a business case well. Other tips I would say is be willing to take, if they ask you a question about things, you're more than welcome to ask questions back. Say, well, do I need to make assumptions, or should I ask you, is there more information I should know about this? Be willing to ask the questionnaire, or the person asking the question, additional questions, and they'll give you further direction. And don't rush into any question. You more than willing to write things down. Say, can I take a minute and write down my thoughts so I can get a good answer to this?
Right.
So don't rush into anything. Be willing to ask questions, and just remember to establish your business objective as well as your marketing models after.
If you don't mind me putting you on the spot here a little bit, Nathan, but so you're not too worried about this, but when you talk about marketing models or frameworks, are there any specific frameworks that come to mind that you think, this one or this two or maybe these three, wow, just home run frameworks? If you don't know these three, get these down, and the 20% will get you 80% of the way there. What's that 20%?
I don't think there's any killer app in terms of a marketing model. That's why there's so many of them. It's being able to speak competently to one or two of them in a way that shows that you actually know what you're talking about, have mastered it. So the classic ones you're going to hear about 4 Ps, the 3 Cs, the 4 Ps being product, price, promotion, and
place.
Gotta remember it. So and then the 3 Cs, obviously, the competitors, the company itself, and the consumer. So those are two that come to mind, but there's plenty of other ones that my director right now is very passionate about. Who am I, what am I, and why am I right for you, as being his model for marketing. So there's plenty of them out there. It's just being able to speak to them competently and being able to weave that into your business objective. I can't tell you how many times I've heard interviews that just jump right into, well, I would first want to do consumer insights and ask the customer what they're doing. Well, consumer insights have no value to us unless we have a business objective.
Right.
And so I think marketing, BYU students in particular, jump quickly into research and how I would ask the consumer this, how I do a hierarchical value map or a means end chain.
Yeah.
Step back from any of like the tactical functions that you would do and say, okay, what is the business objective and what are the models that are just broad enough to kind of cover the bases in this category.
Yeah, phenomenal. That some great advice. Thank you, Nathan. One last question on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
You already mentioned, hey, don't jump right into your recommendations
Mm-hmm.
or assumptions. Are there any other common mistakes that you think, hey, just fix this one or two common mistakes, and we're a lot better. We're a lot closer to where we need to be in terms of case interview.
I don't know. If I had more, I would definitely share it. And nothing's coming to mind. I would say that the case questions are simply, being great at case questions is simply about practice. And I don't think we at BYU do enough practicing on actual interview business case questions.
Yeah.
So it's sitting down with your group or with your spouse or with a friend or with anyone and just going over a ton of these so that you can start to get the common language, how you would describe a solution to the problem at hand.
Yeah, phenomenal. Thank you. That's definitely an opportunity that we will take going forward. Now, another common question in an interview is, tell me about yourself and introducing yourself in an interview. What are your thoughts on keys to success in terms of that question and other just general interview thoughts?
So I had a fantastic marketing professor talk about any great brand has three things. It's what makes it different, what makes it better, what makes it special. And in any interview, what you're doing is portraying your brand. So what do you want to make sure to leave with them is how you are different, better, and special. And how are you different, better, and special in certain areas. I personally want to be known as a person who gets results, who can drive initiatives, can see initiatives on my own. I don't need to be told what to do. That's kind of business leadership. And then I want to be known as an innovator. So in any of those things, I want to leave that impression with my interviewer that's what I'm really different, better, and special at, and this is why you can trust what I'm saying. So I think that every person has 4 or 5 great stories that if they practiced enough, regardless of what question will be asked, you can bring those experiences in a very natural setting. But it takes practice, it takes the willingness to sit down and write them out potentially, to practice them with, like we talked about the business case. How do I develop this story? So the STAR method of what the situation is, what tactics you used, what actions you produced, and then what were the results.
Right.
All too often tell me about yourself, if you're going to tell me about an experience that really defines you, so many people leave out results. And if you're not a results-oriented person, why should I want to hire you? Yeah, you can think of good ideas, but what did it drive home in the end?
Yeah.
So I really encourage you to make sure that you come with results. And everyone wants to be like, hey, I grew share by this much. And a lot of the capacities that we've done in the jobs prior to this, we don't have those numbers at hand.
Right.
But what are the things that you did? I launched it on time. I launched it in a way that consumers immediately were attracted to it. On the first day when I went in, people were all around my products, or just find ways of communicating results, even if you can't quantify them.
Right.
But push yourself to quantify them if it's available. The other thing that I would say in that space of introducing yourself is making sure to come with enthusiasm and to show a passion for the company of why you want to be here right now, and there's nothing more important than this interview to you. Even people, there's a lot of different personalities out there, and you don't have to be outlandish, you don't have to be loud and obnoxious, sometimes how I can come off, but make sure that they see a sincerity, that they see a passion, that they see a person who they can go to their management team and say, you know what, I'm willing to bet on this guy, bet on this girl, that there's something special about them. So.
Right. Great. Well, thank you, Nathan. We really appreciate your thoughts on getting our interview mojo going, and definitely thank you for your time.
And so when I'm when you are interviewing me in the future, all of you, please don't take this too much to heart. Be kind on me.